I was nothing short of a Mortal Kombat fanatic as a kid. The high point of my Mortal Kombat fandom occurred a little over a year after playing the original Mortal Kombat for the first time, thanks to the release of Mortal Kombat 2. I was obsessed with Mortal Kombat 2, and spent many hours playing against the computer, my dad, and friends until I felt I was one of the best in the world. Thanks to life, school, and money, more money, because now I had the ability to buy more games, my time with the future Mortal Kombat games wasn't as plentiful or life-changing. Add that to the fact that the Mortal Kombat franchise struggled to retain its greatness as the years progressed. The explosion of 3D fighting games forced Mortal Kombat developers to embrace the new frontier and produce a mixed bag of results. But in 2011, the series returned to its roots, putting the fighters on a 2D plane, even though the game featured 3D models. The game was widely received as a return to form and produced arguably the greatest Mortal Kombat since Mortal Kombat 2. I too loved Mortal Kombat 2011, and it left me looking forward to the inevitable sequel that would be named Mortal Kombat X. It was a week one purchase for yours truly, and hopefully another worthy experience in the Mortal Kombat legacy. Unlike the days of the original Mortal Kombat games, Mortal Kombat X features a variety of modes, but only one has a completion rating: Story Mode. Picking up where Mortal Kombat 2011 left off, the player is given a chance to test out their skills while exploring the ever-expanding universe that has become something of a revolutionary concept in the fighting game genre. The mode lasts about a third less than the previous game's versions, but is a perfect starting point for players looking to test the depths of their potential skills with a variety of the fighters available. For offline players, the classic Tower returns, a mode where a player can take one character and fight 10 other fighters in the game until they defeat X's main boss, Shinnok, and witness the character-driven ending starring the victor. There are other towers in the game, including the button-mashing Test Your Might from the original Mortal Kombat, and living towers that mimic the classic tower but add stipulations to fights like random freeze missiles shooting from the sky to paralyze fighters. These living towers change on an hourly, daily, and weekly basis, giving the player something different almost every time they play. For those who are up to the task, Mortal Kombat X gives you the option of playing against others online. Instead of just having simple one-on-one battles, Mortal Kombat X allows players to start their own rooms and lobbies, add stipulations to their fights with Test Your Luck, and even has a King of the Hill mode where the player must defeat the reigning champion and defend his or her throne as long as he or she can. Thanks to the various achievements and trophies attached to Mortal Kombat X, completing the game becomes a lot easier thanks to a checklist that asks the player to try out everything and everyone. And that's exactly what I did, and then some. NetherRealm Studios entered this generation of gaming with a solid foundation based off of their prior games, Mortal Kombat 2011, and the DC Comics-based Injustice: Gods Among Us. It's pretty obvious how proud NetherRealm Studios is of their highly acclaimed previous works, with the simplicity of their striking system, an overpowered uppercut, special maneuvers that can be powered up, debilitating throws, combos both simple and complicated, and the feel that this is the most efficient Mortal Kombat ever. While Mortal Kombat X borrows certain traits from those titles, mostly Injustice, the game looks to innovate the franchise and fighting games in general with character variations. Each of the original 24 characters has 3 distinct variations that can be chosen by the player. The variations give each character several different moves, though every character has a base set of moves that stay the same no matter the variation, and potential strategies that can prove effective and downright dangerous. Unlike previous Mortal Kombat games, the chance to find the character that works best for your playstyle might not come with a certain fighter, but that certain fighter's style. I, for one, have never been a Jax player. Ironically enough, he was my dad's favorite. But Jax's pumped-up variation has him as one of my main characters I'll take through both online and offline competition at a moment's notice. Another addition to the franchise is actually a return, but in a better, more rewarding fashion: brutalities. Not seen since the days of Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the long-awaited moves that were only seen after a player completed a ridiculous amount of combos have come back in a different form. Rather than force the player to learn and execute combos to see some extra rib cages and tibias fly across the screen from an exploding body, MKX gives gamers certain requirements that must be completed at the tail end of the final round of a fight. While some of the necessities are more aggravating than others, specifically the requirements that ask for an opponent to be blocking, ducking, or jumping, those simply paying attention can pull off a majority of these barbaric maneuvers. The variety of ways a person can end a match with a figurative, or at times literal, bang, without hearing the phrase finish him or finish her, is almost more impressive than the series' staple fatalities, which are of course back with a bloody vengeance along with their non-match ending cousin X-ray attacks. Also added to the finishing sequences are faction kills, a quick input that allows people to finish defeated opponents in a gruesome fashion no matter the character responsible. From an aesthetic standpoint, Mortal Kombat X foregoes that cartoony, unrealistic style seen in previous games. MKX surprised me as the animation and motion looked better from a first-hand experience than any post-announcement trailer would make one believe. Behind the fighters are usually lush, interactive backgrounds that vary from snow-covered forests of Outworld to an Earthworld metropolis decaying due to war occurring at every corner. Mortal Kombat X is absolutely gorgeous and one of the best-looking 8th generation games to date. But it's not all gore and greatness when it comes to NetherRealm Studios' latest offering. Probably one of the biggest disappointments when it comes to MKX is the game's story mode. Coming off of the heels of a fantastic retelling and re-imaging of the first 3 Mortal Kombat games in Mortal Kombat 2011, MKX picks up not long after the previous game left off. After 30 minutes or so, the story pushes the player some 20 years into the future where new characters are introduced, alliances are forged and broken, and Sub-Zero has a tea party. Lasting only 4 to 5 hours depending on how well you play, the story based on families and young individuals destined for greatness coming of age through violence and at times diplomacy, struggles to achieve the levels of excellence set by its predecessor mostly due to the fact it doesn't have the time to give players a reason to care about the new characters introduced other than, oh, that's Johnny Cage's daughter. Characters from older Mortal Kombats are either relegated to the background or treated as punching dummies before their time in the spotlight comes to an end. Add that to the fact that bosses themselves feel like wimps, and the ability to care becomes even weaker as the story progresses. What makes the story even worse is the fact that it isn't even the entire story. To understand the depths of the characters both past and present, one must invest time and money into Mortal Kombat X the comic book. Essentially, you don't get the full story of Mortal Kombat X by playing Mortal Kombat X. From a gameplay perspective, the addition of variations to all of the characters does add some depth to each fighter, but the truth is one variation of 3 for each combatant is usually superior compared to the rest, giving players no reason to learn how to play with the character's trinity of variations for anything other than grinding toward a trophy or achievement. But the biggest complaint associated with Mortal Kombat X has to be its online mode. While Mortal Kombat 2011 wasn't the smoothest ride when it came to online gaming, it appeared NetherRealm Studios learned their lesson in regards to presenting a fighting game online. Sadly, we as Mortal Kombat fans were wrong. The game struggled in delivering a lag-free, input-delay-efficient game from day one. But as the weeks went on, the online functionality got better. You could pull off combos and special maneuvers without much difference than you would if you were playing offline. But by the release of the Predator DLC character, online became a mess. Input delay was worse than ever. Connections could be easily lost. As of now, Mortal Kombat X's functionality online is hit or miss, with odds leading toward miss on an average day. Like many fighting games I enjoy, online play has become essential for me to keep playing once I complete all the classic towers and get all the trophies. Unfortunately for Mortal Kombat X, my days of playing online have come to a halt. There are other negatives regarding this game, including the almost unnecessary faction wars that allows players to pick one of 5 factions to represent and help earn points for by completing various challenges during the week for the right to earn that secret faction kill and some coins. As the months have progressed, the wars have turned into a running joke of will this faction ever lose after everyone jumps ship from the Lin Kuei faction in hopes of completing an achievement or trophy associated with faction jumping. The aforementioned living towers are suffering from stagnation thanks to reusing the same towers after months of hourly changes. And the literal dungeon crawling mode known as the Crypt is a lot more time consuming than rewarding as the player goes through various areas spending coins won in battle to unlock various items, including new fatalities or brutalities. But the unlocked items are usually concept art and music from various stages played in the game. And don't forget about the level of creepiness that comes with situations like Jax ripping off his daughter's arms and snuffing out a cigarette on her tongue, or Cassie hitting her dad in the testicle so hard his head flies off. Other than the online functionality problems, none of these minor negatives hurt the overall experience of Mortal Kombat X. The same thing applies to the DLC that isn't necessary to enjoy the game, just an optional addition for gamers who want to play as characters such as the aforementioned Predator, Jason Voorhees, or Goro, who was actually given a living tower so people who didn't pay for him had the chance to play with him for a short period of time. Even with its faults, Mortal Kombat X has been one of the most enjoyable experiences of 2015 for me, as well as one of the most enjoyable experiences as a Mortal Kombat fan I've ever had. MKX delivers the innovation necessary for the franchise to stand out beyond the trait that made it memorable when it was first released, while retaining the gameplay style that has become synonymous with the series since its 6th generation iterations. I've probably put in more time with Mortal Kombat X than its predecessors in a short period of time, and found myself wanting more in the best possible way. I'm looking forward to see what the people at NetherRealm Studios have prepared for the inevitable next Mortal Kombat game.
Brutality.
Got a thing for punishment?
Cassie wins.